Loving Sairam sir, and it's really heartening for us to have you in the studios of Sri Sathya Sai Media Center as the son of the revered Brigadier Bose sir, who was involved with so many constructions that are part of Bhagavan's legacy, Bhagavan's glory, and Bhagavan's mission today. And as someone who was deeply involved with so many of those projects, as well as someone who came to Bhagavan way back in the 70s, do share with us how your journey began and the various ways Swami gave you the opportunity to become an instrument in his hands.
Sairam, my journey began sometime in May of 1970. I was about 18 years old, doing a summer apprenticeship with an architectural firm in Kolkata. And amongst the architects working in the office was one senior of mine from IIT Kharagpur, who was a Swami devotee. And the discussion obviously came about Sathya Sai Baba. And as happens many times, we all made fun and we all, stressed on the negative aspects of what we had heard about Swami. And we continued. This senior of mine was getting quite agitated, and he said, all right, if we don't believe in the miracles of Sathya Sai Baba, he would take us to someone's house where vibhuti and other things appeared, which we did. We went to this lady's house, and we actually saw vibhuti and amrit appearing. To me, it had a very lasting effect, and I was completely bowled over by that whole incident. We came back to the office and it continued. Much later, I came to know that my senior Murthy Sudhakar was the grandson of Professor Kasturi. And the experience that he had now seems unique, but at that time it didn't really matter that much. So he was actually the person and to bring me into this fold. And in my family, I was the first. And I went back home to Kharagpur and told my parents about Swami. And this lady had given me a photo of Shirdi Baba and Swami, which we kept in the prayer room, and it continued. And from then on, father got to be involved slightly into the fold until he retired from directorship of IIT Kharagpur in 1974. And after a stint in UNESCO Paris, he came back to India and wanted to do selfless, some sort of service. And by then he had got involved with the Sathya Sai Seva organization in Kolkata and offered to the then state president, Mr. Arun Datta, that he would like to offer his services as an engineer to anything that Swami might be interested in. This was 1975, and there was a conference of all state presidents in Puttaparthi to organize activities around Swami's 50th birthday. After having come here, it was then decided that the construction of the Stupa Stamba, which had started a few months ago, was not progressing well. And the deadline of Swami's birthday was looming near. And the state president of West Bengal suddenly remembered my father's words and mentioned to Swami that there is a retired engineer who has offered to come and work if need be. And after giving a brief introduction, Swami said, immediately call him. And my father left. I don't know how in those days he managed to get into some train and came, telling my mother to close the house and come later on. He arrived here in September of 1975 and given the task of completing the Stupa Stamba before Swami's birthday.
The Sarva Dharma Stupa.
50th birthday, yes.
The Sarva Dharma Stupa.
Sarva Dharma Stupa, yes, that's right. Father, although very experienced engineer, had never worked in the south and did not realize that the rainy season here actually doesn't end as per North India. It continues. So and Swami had said that the work of constructing the Stupa Stamba should be given to devotees. There will be some carpenters and some masons, but bulk of the work to be done by devotees. So they had done about 7 feet of work of the main shaft of the Stupa Stamba. And because of lack of skilled carpenters, the formwork was done in mud. Mud was easily available. And up to a 7 feet height, the devotees had piled mud. And inside, the carpenters had then made the excavation possible, in which concrete was to be poured later on. Swami used to come very often to see the work, and on one day he told my father that just cover this work with tarpaulin. But father didn't realize this was September, probably end of September. He didn't realize. He said, rain's over, so why bother? I mean, he didn't take it that seriously. That particular night around 2 a.m., there was a heavy downpour. Heavy. Father couldn't sleep. He woke up and he said to himself that, all the efforts of the Sevadal and everything is going to go down the drain, literally. And there was no way that they would be able to finish the job in time. So early next morning, as probably just day broke, he came to see the work, and he expected everything to have washed down, completely gone. To his surprise, he found that it was intact, absolutely intact, not a drop of water. All around there was water collecting. But where this work was done, there was absolutely no damage, nothing went out of everything. Swami came by shortly to see the work and told my father, he says, Bose, didn't sleep at night. He said, no, Swami, I didn't. He said, I beg forgiveness. I didn't realize. He said, no, don't worry. Selfless service done by devotees, Swami will never allow it to go waste. So don't worry. Continue with your work. Be careful next time. And so it went. And the work completed, as you probably know, that it was inaugurated at Swami in time. Everything was done perfectly. Nobody knew what the background was, that it was done. Basically, all the labor work was done by devotees. Only the skilled work was done by artisans, including members of the Central Trust. Each of them also poured some concrete into it, so that Swami wanted everybody to be involved in it. So after the Stupa Stamba was done, Swami permitted my father, and my mother had come by then, to go back, but said return by Sankranti, January of 1976. While in Calcutta, Swami sent a telegram that come immediately. So they both came, and Swami said that I want you to come with me to Bangalore, where I have the ashram in Whitefield called Brindavan, and I want you to see something there. So he took my parents to Bangalore and told my father that a student's hostel has to be constructed. And the site that was chosen for the hostel was a little away, that is beyond Rajmata of Navanagar's bungalow. And the boys were not willing to go there. They said that we will sleep inside Swami's residence, but they said that we will not go. Even if you construct the building, we will not move there. We are going to stay here. Swami said, how will you stay? You have studies to do. You have no privacy. You are just sleeping wherever it is. So the boys said, it doesn't matter, but we are not moving. So Swami had to find an alternative. And there was this space next to Swami's old residence, which was once a pond and subsequently filled up. So Swami had, before this incident, had called engineers from Bangalore to ask whether a building can be constructed on this. And they said, no, this soil is too soft. It will not support the weight of a building. So we can't do that. He asked father that, Bose, can you build it? Father said, yes, Swami, if it is your sankalpa, and I have done many complicated and difficult buildings while in the army, I will do it. Swami said, fine. So The drawings were finalized. The structural engineers were brought in, and work started. But in those days, in Brindavan Ashram, there was no family accommodation available. The boys used to all sleep in Swami's residence in the compound, and there were just a few buildings here and there, but nothing for family. Mr. Ram Brahma, who used to be in Swami's residence, got to know this and told Swami that Swami, Brigadier Bose and Mrs. Bose are living apart. They're finding it difficult to, what should we do? So Swami said, all right, bring them, ask them to stay. The room chosen for my parents was once Mother Ishwarama's. Inside Swami's residence, Swami used to stay on the first floor. This was on the ground floor. So my parents stayed in that room for 1.5 years, directly under Swami's room himself. But the room was small, and there was just space for one cot and a little other space. So oftentimes when Swami was not in Brindavan, father used to sleep in the adjacent room, which was the interview room. And so this is how it continued till the construction of what was called later on the Dixit Bungalow. That was next to the main entrance of Brindavan Ashram. That was done sometime in 77, late 77, early 78, when they shifted. But till that time, they stayed there. In between, my elder brother, Colonel Bose, was then posted in Pune, and he had to seek Swami's guidance for a problem that he had in his professional life. So he came, but my father assumed that there is no space inside, so he was making arrangements for him to stay in Kazagodi village. Again, father asked Swami that, Swami, my son is coming and I'm making arrangements for him to stay. He said, why? Let him stay with you. So stay with you, there was just one room basically. So my brother stayed inside. Inside, he and my father used to sleep in Swami's interview room during the night and quickly get up and move over to the other room during the day. And this is how it continued for a while. And so this was something quite unique. And Swami called my brother and told him that, yes, I know you have a problem. Don't worry. Swami has taken over your case. Don't worry. And he created a silver ring and told him, don't worry about it. You'll come through this. Don't worry. It took about 2-3 years, but ultimately, obviously, everything got sorted out. So that was the initial. So the construction of the hostel had started, and it was to be ready by summer course of 1977. That was the first summer course to be held within the premises. So there was accommodation for about 300 students, but the dining hall had to accommodate about 600 as per Swami's requirement, because he wanted the summer course participants to also be able to dine there. So it was ready by the time of summer of 1977. And immediately afterwards, Swami kept on giving my father some work or the other. After this was the auditorium and the administrative and the classroom block in Brindavan. After that, Swami asked him to come to Puttaparthi and do the college building here. After that, he went back to Brindavan. By then, Swami wanted the Trayee to be constructed. So the old mandir, old Swami's residence had to be demolished, and Trayee came up. So this went on for a while. Meantime, Swami had called me for an interview in 1977 and told me that job satisfaction nahi hai, you want to go abroad? Success hoga. So next year in early 78, I got an offer to go as an architect to Nigeria in West Africa. And I immediately wrote to my father that, can you ask Swami, should I accept the offer or not? So when my father spoke to Swami, Swami said, yes, I told your son, that he will go? Yes, let him accept it. And so I accepted it. And so before I was supposed to leave, I decided to come to Whitefield, seek Swami's blessings and my parents. And then I was to go back to Delhi, from where I would depart for Nigeria. Unknown to me, Swami had told my father that, yeah, let your son come here, but he must get married before he goes. This father didn't tell me that, of course. So I came to Brindavan, and everything was going on fine. It was my birthday, and we were supposed to go to Mumbai that same afternoon. In those days, we were allowed to place a garland in Swami's hands, and he would put it over his shoulders and then again give it back to you. So I did that. I gave him a garland, and in those days, those residents who stayed inside the ashram had free access into Swami's residence. And there was this veranda in front of Swami's residence where we could just sit, and Swami would be going in and out, and we could be just there. So I was there because our flight to Bombay was sometime in the afternoon. I was there just waiting. I thought this would probably be my last glimpse of Swami for a couple of years. I don't know when I'm going to come back. And Swami saw me sitting there, and he asked me, when are you going? I said, Swami, this afternoon. Oh, this afternoon, come. He took me inside the interview room and told me, yes, I know you're going there. Go, but come back after a few years. But you must get married before you go. I was a bit taken aback, and I felt there was no time, I was supposed to go anytime. Swami, seeing my hesitation, said, Shadi karoge to ring dega. If you get married, I will give you a ring. So I thought, let me bargain a little bit with Swami. So I said, Swami, yes, I will get married if you select the girl. Swami said, ठीक, हाँ, Swami करेगा. Mother को बोलो, Bombay जाता है, उधर, to that effect, but not very specific. So then I said, Swami, I'll get married if you perform you will be there at the ceremony. He said, Swami said, yes, I will do that also. I said, fine. It doesn't matter now. Swami is going to give me a ring. He was going to be there at my wedding. That's fine. So we left. So we went to Bombay, and my father and I came and told my parents that this is what Swami said. They said, no, you didn't hear. If you want a Bengali girl, how will you find in Bombay? Not likely. So doesn't matter. You go to Calcutta. And my eldest sister, Aloka Sarkar, was a professor in a girls' college. So my father assumed that she would have, many students, and, she has to just select one. It obviously didn't happen that way. And father had gone to Bombay as on the 20th anniversary of IIT Bombay as the founder director of IIT Bombay. They had invited him to speak. So he did. At that time, the hostel and other buildings were going on in Brindavan. So father didn't have time. He just went to Bombay for 2 days. He delivered his lecture. He stayed on for a day, and he came back to Whitefield. In the meantime, since I was going to go away for many years, father told me that you go to Calcutta with your mother and just do, some routine things like closing a bank account, telephone, this, whatever. He said, I can't move from Brindavan. All right. So we dropped father at the airport, and a friend of ours said, why don't we go and see this friend of ours, So they also have, an eligible daughter. I think she will match. But we went casually. My mother didn't take it seriously. And so we went to my wife's house. And I happened to know her elder brother, who was with me in IIT Bombay. I was doing post-graduation. He was doing undergraduation. And we just dropped in casually and we left. I just spoke to the brother. We had a cup of tea and we left. We went off to Calcutta. In the meantime, after a few days, Swami called my father and said, where is your son? So father said, Swami, he's gone with his mother to Calcutta. He says, why? He says, Swami, to look for a girl. He said, who asked him to go to Calcutta? The girl is in Bombay. Why has he gone to Calcutta? Now, father doesn't know anything about this, because this was after he had come back to Vrindavan. He didn't know where he had gone, which girl Swami is talking about. So he was absolutely confused. So he immediately called up my mother and said, "Did you see any girl in Bombay?" She says, "Yeah, we went to this so and so. They're family friends." And he said, Swami, father said, "That's the girl. Drop everything. That's the girl." Swami gave me a real hiding, saying that when I told your son to go to Bombay, why did he go to Calcutta? So that's how we are, our marriage, or it was fixed. And my father-in-law came down to Bangalore to seek Swami's blessing. So my father-in-law both presented, a thali, as was the custom, into front to Swami to seek blessings. And Swami said, yes, that's good. And so the date had to be fixed. So when father asked Swami when, he said, "Abhi, we do it now." So, but unfortunately in Bengal, the month of Chaitra, there is, it's not an auspicious month for marriages. For us, Swami has said it doesn't matter, anything doesn't matter. But obviously, my father-in-law was not a devotee, and so he hesitated. He didn't say anything. And Swami said, okay, if that's all right, don't. So get them married in Bombay and ask them to come for blessings. Which those days there was no internet or nothing. So by the time the letter reached me in Delhi, by that time I had reached Delhi, I was very disappointed, because my attraction was that Swami will perform the ceremony, or at least preside over the thing. I was very, very disappointed, but nothing could be done. So we got married in Bombay and came down to Whitefield, only to be told that Swami has already gone to Uti. So we followed him to Uti, and Colonel Jogarao was there in Uti, and he asked me that, "Okay, have you brought your wife?" I said, "Yes." "Okay, sit." And Swami came around, asked me, "Where is your wife?" So I pointed out on the ladies' side, and I think she went across to that side, and she did pranam, and he told me that either nahi, he gave me a date, I think 3rd or 4th of May 1975, we are going to Brindavan. वहाँ पे Brindavan में तुमको bless करेगा. All right. So we came down to Brindavan. Swami called us, gave my wife sari and jewelry, and gave me the promised ring and angavastram, and told my wife, next year son lekar aana. Come next year with a son. And she's not from a devotee family. We are just married. It's an arranged marriage. We don't know each other. I mean, really. And she was, she didn't know how to react to that. And I had to leave for Nigeria. And, my tickets had come and everything was done. So I left in a few days' time. She had to stay on in Brindavan and attend the summer course of 1978 as a guest. And after that, she came back, and Swami told her that, all right, that he in fact told her the date on which she has to travel to Nigeria. The exact date, she said, he go on 14th of July, I think. So the ticket was booked for that day, and she came. So we came back as Swami had ordained with a 2-month. My son was born in India, and we brought him as a 2-month-old infant to Swami in January in December of 1979, and to be named. And Swami, by that time, father was building the administrative block here in Puttaparthi. He was very busy with his work, and Swami called us and named our son. He said his name is Sai Gunaranjan. I'm naming him. He created a gold necklace for him, and he explained the meaning of Gunaranjan. Then he came to my wife and said, "Amma, you'll have one more child. Will be a girl, and I'm naming her Sai Sumana." Again, he explained to us what the meaning of Sumana, Suman, but he didn't say when. So we left, and Sumana was actually born 7 years hence. So this is how it happened. And in the meantime, father was busy with various buildings one after the other. It was one finished, the other would start. This went on, the college administrative building in Parthi, the college building, the hostel building, Trayee hostel and auditorium in Brindavan, all went one after the other. We were in Nigeria, and in Puttaparthi in December of 1983, when a military coup took place in Nigeria and the government was overthrown. Father, of course, staying in the ashrams, had said that, this is an ashram life, no newspaper, no radio, no nothing. We didn't know about this thing. Colonel Jogarao met me. He said, "Aren't you in Nigeria?" I said, "Yes." Do you know that coup has taken place yesterday? I said, "No, uncle." He said, No, find out. So I borrowed somebody's newspaper, and then I found, my goodness, this is, the military coup has taken place, and nothing is, there was some bloodshed, but Africa being Africa, anything can happen, So we didn't know what to do now. We had to go back. And so Father said that, see, since you are here, you have to take Swami's instructions. What should you do? Should you go back, stay, whatever? Swami moved to Brindavan, and we met him there. And I managed to ask Swami, what should I do? He said, Vatavaran acha nahi hai, wapas aa jao. Not good, come back. But again, I didn't have a chance to ask him, should I come immediately or could I delay it or what? When Swami just said, and he walked away. This was during darshan time. So anyway, we went back, and I made preparations to at least pack off my son and wife, and we do not know. I had to take time because I had projects to complete and many things to. I said, you all move out of the country. I don't know. Swami has said, Vatavaran acha nahi means there is something, he wouldn't have just said it on his own. So she came away, and I followed later on. And I came back in September of 1984 to India. And we all came to Parthi for Navratri of 1984. And before coming, we told everybody, we had to start life somewhere. We left India just after marriage. We had never set up any house. And we liked Bangalore. And we thought that, if Father is going to be between Bangalore and Parthi, Swami is also going to be there. And Bangalore is a nice climate, good school. My son had to be put in a school. So we thought Bangalore would be the ideal place, and we told everybody that we are going to settle down in Bangalore. When Swami called us for an interview after Navratri of 1984, he said, no, Bangalore is not a good place for you. So I didn't have a plan B. So we didn't know what to do. Bombay was too expensive. So I finally said Pune. I said, Pune. You spent your childhood there. Father has a plot of land. Build a bungalow on that. Zyada bada nahi banana, 3-bedroom ka.
Not too big.
Not too big. Just 3-bedroom, he told me. Don't construct a bungalow. But that land was under Land Ceiling Act, the Urban Land Ceiling Act. And Father knew about it, but he said, I'm sitting in an ashram. I have no desire to fight it out. So he just ignored the whole thing. He didn't bother about it. When Swami told me to go there and to build a bungalow, which means that it would have been cleared from Ceiling Act. So we went back to Bombay. In the meantime, in that interview, Swami told me that I want a building to be constructed for overseas devotees, and I want you to design that. So this was the present Western Canteen and the Vidyavani office above that. So I quickly made a sketch of the proposed building. It was to be 4-storied high as the adjacent round buildings, with the canteen on the ground floor, ladies accommodation, overseas ladies accommodation, 1st and 2nd floor, and gents on 3rd and 4th floor. So I made a quick thing. Swami said, yes, make the detailed drawings. Went back to Bombay, made the drawings, came back to Swami. Swami asked for a few changes. After that, in the interview room, Swami said, yes, okay. Approved. We will do the the puja just now. So from the interview room, we went straight to the site, And by then, Swami had already instructed, the pujari and everything to be done. And so we constructed, it had to be completed by Swami's birthday the next year. So we did that. And I think that it was my great satisfaction that it was a building which Swami had asked me to design, and my father constructed it. So it was a very pleasant experience.
And 4 floors.
Fourth floor, but then Swami stopped it at second floor. It never got, or it was designed for 4 floors, but it never was constructed. I do not know why it was stopped then, but the building is designed for 4 floors. So I just wanted to match the height of the adjacent buildings as well. And so I rounded off the corners so that, a rectangular building would it'll look odd since there are circular buildings adjacent to it. And that's how it went on. And
Any other instructions Swami gave you during the construction or the making of that building?
No, so it was decided that we will initially just for to be ready for Swami's birthday of 1985. We will just do the ground floor and continue with the construction perhaps later on. I didn't realize that Swami just allowed us to construct one more floor and he stopped it. I still do not know why, but Swami probably has a good reason for that. So that's how we carried on, and and then Swami told me one day that come get into my car. So we drove with Swami, and we took a round of Hillview Stadium and Shanti Vedika, and we just took a round and we came back. And Swami noticed the ring that he had given me. He said, "What is?" He says, "Is this the ring I gave you?" I said, "Yes, Swami." So what had happened? It was an oval-shaped ring with Swami's image on the center and sort of gold around it. So since I'm an architect and I have to go to site, perhaps it got chipped. So Swami looked at it and said, "Hey, what is this? This is Sri Lanka's map. It's got chipped," and so he went back and then he called me and he replaced he changed the ring to another one, which was rectangular, again with Swami's image in the center, but more rectangular. So again, he changed that once more, and he's given me this present ring that I'm wearing right now. So that's how it went. And in the meantime, I asked Swami, I said, "Swami, my son needs to go to school." Swami said, "No, Ooty mein do. Swami ka school hai, Central Board, English medium." I said, "Swami, fine." Then he said, no, let him be there. He's small. I will give him admission later on. And so he did. And so that's how we carried on. So this is, I was not directly involved in other projects. I used to, most of it happened while we were in Nigeria. And after we came back also, whatever construction took place, I was there informally assisting my father for a short duration, but I was never officially asked to be a part of the design or supervising team. Until 1991. Oh, of course, 1988, as you probably know, my father had this incident on Vijayadashami Day. Swami wanted the area around his mandir to be concreted, because the sand used to get very hot during summer, and Swami felt that the devotees had to bear this inconvenience. So he wanted the whole area to be in concrete, and this task was given to my father, and with the instruction that it has to be completed before Navratri. And it was just maybe in 2 months he had to complete everything, and Swami said that make sure that rainwater does not collect. So it had to have proper slope, and so that there's no collection of rainwater. Father worked day and night to complete that. And he was absolutely quite exhausted. So day of Vijayadashmi, then it was 20th of October 1988. Father was running high temperature till the previous evening. And but he was very keen on attending the Dasara celebration and receiving Swami's Shanti Jal. So he was very keen. My mother and sister tried to dissuade him. He said, no, I will go there. Doesn't matter, I will go. So he went, and his fever had subsided. He sat next to the stage in Purnachand Auditorium, and Swami had just started his discourse. And Father suddenly blacked out, and he just collapsed off. He just fell on the floor from the chair. So Dr. Patel, Dr. Chari, Dr. Alreja was all there, and they immediately took him out, and they made him lie down, tried to check his pulse, and there was no pulse. They checked his eyelid. The eyelids were dilated, and they said that he's dead. In the meantime, Swami had just started his discourse on stage, and people who were present in on that occasion saw Swami gesturing from the stage, something like this, that go away. Nobody could understand what it meant. And then soon after, Swami switched off the mic and he came down to where my father was lying. And it seems, this is what my others have said, that Swami, it seems, held something in his hand and came to my father where he was lying down and gave him a sharp sort of, not a slap, but he hit him on the shoulder with a clenched fist and told, "Bose, get up." And my father opened his eyes, and seeing Swami's feet next to him, he tried to get up and touch his feet, and Swami said no. So he told the doctors and Sevadar, take him out. And Purnachand Auditorium with 16,000 people was suffocating. He told him that take him out and let him breathe fresh air. And Swami came back to the stage and continued with his discourse. My mother and sister, who were on the ladies' side, couldn't see what was happening. They just saw Swami coming down, and after a few minutes going back, and everybody clapped, and they also clapped, thinking that something good has happened. Little did they know what had actually happened. So after the discourse, father was taken back to the room, and then Dr. Alreja was there, and he told my mother and sister that this is what actually happened. And Swami was leaving for Brindavan a few days hence, and he called my father for an interview and created a Shiv Ling and told him that do Abhishek of this Ling every day and drink the water. And so we did, and till my father's last day in February of 2000, when he was in the hospital, we continued to do the Abhishek at home and bring him the water to drink. As my father's wishes, the lingam is with me in Pune, and we take it with us wherever we go. So it's right now with us in Puttaparthi. We'll go back with us back to Pune tomorrow. Talking of health problems and issues within the family, back in the mid-90s, 94, I would say, my son was already a student here in Prashanti Nilam, in the school. My wife had some gynecological problem while in Pune, which required a surgery. In the meantime, we were both volunteers with a cancer support group in Pune. And a drug company, a pharmaceutical company, had given a grant to conduct mass screening camps for cancer amongst ladies above the age of 40 and who have had children. So they wanted to create a database of ladies of different social groups, right from the lower income to middle income to whatever. So the doctors had told us that, convince your friends, relatives, ladies to come. It's a free screening camp. And, so my wife went around telling her friends, and then she realized that, she should do it herself, because if they ask her any details, she'll not be able to say. So she decided to go for one just to get the feel of what is involved. During routine ultrasound examination, which is a part of that whole thing, she was detected with multiple gallbladder stones, which she had no symptoms, nothing. It was just out of the blue. So the surgeon saw it and said that, see, these have to be removed. And she says, you're young now, but it's not one stone, they're multiple stones. They will surely enlarge, and then it'll give you such pain that you'll not be able to bear it. So I would suggest you surgically remove it. And what we can do is we can combine it with your other surgery that was required, so that you don't have to come to hospital twice, and we'll do it in one procedure itself. So my son was coming home to Pune for the vacation between Dasara and Diwali, and that was 10-12 days. So since it was not a very serious matter, she said, why have the operation while he's come from Puttaparthi? Let him go back and then we will do it. I said, fine. As I was telling you about my father's incident when he died and Swami brought him back to life, that was 20th October.
And
So
at that time, we also hear how it is documented. He later revealed that he saw
yes,
Garuda
yes,
come.
yes,
right?
yes.
Which Professor Hislop,
So-
Dr. Hislop has documented.
So my father saw a big bird hovering around, above his head, about 6 feet of height. He couldn't identify. It was a giant bird. But he, being an engineer, was trying to figure out that how did it enter Purnachanda Auditorium? Because the doors are not so wide. And he was trying to figure out how could it enter into the hall. He was not concerned about anything else, but the practicality of how it entered. And it hovered around his from what he could see, and then it went off. Later on, Swami said that, that was Garuda. And when he saw that, he said, yes, this is the kind of bird. Apparently, so the Garuda had come to fetch his soul, and then Swami probably sent it away. And that was the gestures that he was doing from the stage. So this is what.
Just giving him a new
Just
life.
sending him away, that,
Sending death away.
death away.
And giving him a new life.
And Swami, again, so there was a little bit of confusion because it happened so fast that people thought that he just collapsed and it blacked out, and Swami just revived him. Then Swami clarified later on that it was not so, that he actually died. And the doctors who were present there said that there was no pulse, absolutely no pulse. And Swami said, I brought him back to life because there is much work left to be done. So it was not just a question of, blacking out for a few minutes, and then it could have been, but it was not. Swami actually brought him back to life. So that was 20th October. So after that, we used to celebrate 20th October as his birthday.
Oh.
So although he was born on 9th of November, 20th October we used to, and Swami would very obligingly call the family for an interview on 20th of October every year. So my brother, sister, and I would all be here to celebrate and Swami would call us for an interview. So I as I said, my son had come to Pune for the vacation, and I brought him back here to Puttaparthi for, the session was going to start. And 20th October was nearby, so Swami called us and he told me, "Kya samachar?" I said, "Swami, theek hai, my wife has to undergo an operation." क्यों? वो सोचता है कैंसर नहीं है, हाँ, कोई सोचता है कैंसर नहीं है. So he said, she thinks it's cancer because she had actually gone for a cancer screening camp. It's not cancer. There's no operation. He asked me to repeat, no operation. Swami said, I will give vibhuti and let her take the vibhuti. All right. So I came back to Pune and told her that Swami said no operation. All right, no operation. Swami said no operation means no operation. So we informed the surgeon that she was trying to fix a date and all that. So we said, you don't want to. She said, no, look, you're trying to ignore because we have no symptoms, but this will, it'll become very, very painful later on. And they're not one stone. So we told her that, look, we couldn't tell her why, but we said, we don't want to do it. She must have thought whatever, And the problem that she had for the other thing, that sorted out within a few days. And we completely forgot about this gallbladder thing completely because it never bothered her. And we just completely forgot. 30 years after that, in 2016, my wife had dengue fever in Pune and had to be admitted to hospital. So as part of the hospital's routine thing, the ultrasound, chest X-ray, everything was to be done. But it was an emergency. Her platelets had fallen, so she had to be admitted at night. And I was not prepared. So the next morning, they had to take her for these routine tests. So I requested one of our lady side devotees. I said that, could you be with her for 2 hours? I'll just finish some urgent work and come back. She came and I left. I came back 2 hours later on to find that she's still not in the room. I thought it will not take long. So I asked the nurse, I said, where? She said that she's in the sonography room. I went down to the sonography room. She's in a wheelchair because she's absolutely exhausted. She can't walk. And I said, what happened? He said, I'm here for the last 1 hour in the sonography. They're keeping on going around my abdomen and telling her that go ahead. First, she had drunk a lot of water, which she had to relieve. Then they said, okay, we'll do it without, So I go there and I meet this in charge of the sonography, ultrasound. And he asked me, has your wife undergone any operation? I said, no. He said, because we can't find her gallbladder. Are you sure? He's asking me whether. I said, of course I'm sure. And if there was an operation, if it was a pinhole surgery, there would be some scar on her abdomen. You check. He said, I've checked, there is no scar. And then the penny dropped, and we suddenly realized that Swami had probably removed her gallbladder. We don't know when. Whether it happened in the 90s, in between. See, there was no need for her to undergo an ultrasound all these years. So we have no idea that when it went. So what happened was he is going around and he can't find her gallbladder. He can't find any scar or anything to indicate that there was an operation. Both the patient and the patient's husband is saying there's no operation. Where has the gallbladder gone? So it was too late to physically pray for Swami, to express our gratitude to Swami, because this is 2016. But we asked for his forgiveness that we were not able to express our gratitude because we didn't know. We just didn't know. Until date, I have no idea when it was. Recently, I found the original ultrasound, which says there are so many stones, and now there's no stone. No gallbladder, no stones at all.
Swami ensured that
it was gone. And that's why he told me no operation, which we didn't realize what it meant. So
we don't know how
and when it happened. I have absolutely no idea. No idea at all.
He ensured that whatever needs to be done for our body is done.
Yes.
And she doesn't experience the pain.
Nothing.
She doesn't experience the discomfort.
And now when we've spoken to other people, they said, after a gallbladder operation that you have dietary restrictions, you can't eat this. We didn't even know what dietary restrictions. We were having normal food. So that was something which we realized only recently, that such a thing has happened. And, it was absolutely, we were stunned. My mother suffered a stroke in January of 99. She cooked the food for the day, and she came to and just sat. And my father came from outside and found mother sitting, just still. And he couldn't. He asked her, "Rani, how are you?" And she didn't respond. So there were doctors passing by our flat, and he called them, and they said that I think she should be removed to the hospital. So devotee's car was nearby, and so she walked to the car, and she was brought to the super specialty hospital. And this was then MRI showed that there was a stroke and there was a clot in the brain. And so the doctors started giving her, blood thinners and whatever. I was told, my brother, we all came immediately, my sister, brother, from wherever we were. We came back to be with the mother. And she would see us, and after a while, she would just indicate. She couldn't speak; she had lost the power, but she could, gesture, and she would just tell us to go. And we couldn't understand why she's asking us to go. We've come all the way from wherever we have, and why is she asking us to go? We were trying to come up with all kinds of explanation that maybe because the ICU has no window, so she couldn't make out whether it is day or night. Maybe she thinks it's night. The father is alone. That is why she's asking. All kinds of explanations which we couldn't understand. Till the last day, we couldn't understand. And Swami kept sending doctors, Dr. Bhagavat, and go and see how she is. Go and talk to the doctors, everything. And so she passed away. She passed away early in the morning. And I came immediately back to the ashram and sent word to Swami that Swami mother has passed away. As soon as daylight, Mr. Dave, who was part of the trust, he came down with a sari, and he said Swami has sent this sari for Mrs. Bose. This is a Bengali cotton sari of a color which she likes. So this is one of her favorite combinations, and Swami has sent this sari specifically for it to be draped around the body for cremation. All right. So we did that. We did the cremation on the banks of Chitravati River. While the cremation was going on, there was a strong sense of vibhuti, smell of vibhuti. I mean, yeah, imagine, burning wood and all, and people have experienced very, very strong smell of vibhuti. We came back, and then the evening, Swami called us for an interview, the family, father, brother, sister, myself, four of us. We said, what to do with father now? I mean, he can't, he was, in his 90s. He can't stay alone. So Swami told me that you take him to Pune. I well felt Swami, father has spent the last 24, 25 years of his life either in Brindavan or Puttaparthi, Prashanti Nilayam. How can we ever recreate this environment in Pune? It's not possible. So I requested Swami, I said, my son is already a student here. If my daughter can get admission, we will come. We will come and, we'll stay here and look after father. So Swami told me that, how will you stay? You don't get a pension. How will you live? So I said, Swami, we have a house in Pune, which we'll give on rent. And from the rent that we get, we'll comfortably stay in Puttaparthi. He says, no, not you. You have worked there, not you. So we didn't know what to do. Then my sister suggested, Swami, elder brother, he told my elder brother, yes, you come. You come now. Swami has work for you. If you come today, I'll give you work tomorrow. Come urgently. Come as well. Then he said that you go after Shivratri and come within a fortnight. So which he did. And when Swami called us for the interview, he told us that your mother was communicating with me all the time she was in hospital, which we didn't realize. And that was the reason probably that she was indicating for us to go, that we were not disturbing, but we were there. And she wanted to concentrate on whatever she was communicating with Swami. Swami told us this. We had no clue. Secondly, Swami said that do not grieve. This was her last birth. So do not grieve. And she died a Sumangali. And he explained to us what Sumangali meant. And he explained to us also that in the olden times, only pious ladies were given the option of dying without being a widow. And then he changed my ring again, and he said he started joking in a light-hearted manner. He said, "Show me the ring." So I gave him the ring. He said, "I can't see any image." I said, "Swami, your image." "Oh, this is Nirankari, formless." So Swami is formless. So I said, "Swami, I'm sorry, but it just scrapes. Whenever at work." He said, "Understand." So then he replaced that and gave me this particular ring. He changed my brother's ring also. And, so we went into the interview room sad. Our mother has passed away early that morning. And we came out in a different kind of thing. And people were wondering that, what is wrong with this family? That here they have lost the mother and they don't seem to be sad at all. Later on, Mr. Chiranjeevi Rao told us that Swami had ordered Narayan Seva for 1,200 people in my mother's name. And Swami told us that don't cook food at home for 10 days. Food was sent to us for the entire family. Breakfast, lunch, snacks, dinner in a tiffin carrier. Some would come and give us the food every day. For 10 days, Swami made sure that cooked food was given to us every day. So, see, everyone's mother is special. And we felt that we had grossly underestimated our mother. She was a loving person, but we never realized that she was, her soul was that advanced that there was no need for her, any other birth. I mean, this was the last birth. We had an impression that, people who were at that stage must be very extraordinary, or but we, as I said, we feel sad now that during our mother's time we never realized we, of course, as a mother, she was very, very loving and we enjoyed her presence very much, but we never realized that soul was at that stage where she would not require any previous birth. And coming from Swami, that is absolutely something quite extraordinary. Subsequently, my father suffered a stroke just a year hence, and he was taken to the general hospital. This time, Swami sent instructions that there should be no aggressive treatment. So just make him comfortable. And so he was being made comfortable, and so nothing. Again, he could speak a bit, but not much. So he could write, and he would say, what he wants. And so he was being fed through the nose because he couldn't eat. And the funny thing was, my brother then was doing the construction of Chaitanya Jyoti Museum, and he would sit at the darshan line. My sister and I would be, and my wife, we would be in the hospital in my father's room. Swami would come to my brother, ask him how father was, and he would say that, okay, Swami, he's in pain. I think he has urinary tract. Swami said, no, there is no pain. There's no urinary tract. Tell the doctor to give this medicine. So brother would come to the hospital, speak to Dr. Hema, and tell her that this is what Swami said. Oh, Swami has said this. Okay, we'll give that. So next day again, Swami would ask, how is father? And brother would tell him that this is what, and Swami would say, all right, either do this or do that. One time, Swami said that play Gayatri mantra in his room. We didn't have a cassette recorder, so we borrowed one from a devotee, and we played Gayatri mantra continuously in the room. Finally, one day, Swami decided to visit my father in the hospital. And that was 26 January, year 2000. And Swami had not visited the general hospital for the last 2 years. So when word got around that Swami is coming, the hospital went into absolutely tizzy, cleaning everything and spotless. And, overnight, nobody slept in the entire hospital staff, Sevadal, everybody was working to make the hospital spick and span. The Swami at that time had some problem walking up steps. So they decided to move my father from the first floor to the ground floor. So one room was vacated and one bed was kept with my father on it. And Swami came. And so father was there, and he came to my father, put his hand on his forehead. Swami asked him, Bose, kaisa hai? How are you? And he said, Swami, I'm all right. What do you want? So he said, Mukti. I want liberation. Mukti? Milega, I'll give you. And he left. So he went up to the. Then we were there around. So he asked us, where have you? When did you all come? And making just small talk with us. And he was walking up outside to the door of the room, and suddenly he went there and he came back. Apparently, what had happened was, which went unnoticed by us, they had put a sheet on my father, just to cover his body. We did not notice that part of his left foot was exposed. The sheet was not covering his foot. And Swami noticed it. He went there, came back, lifted the sheet, covered his foot, and then he went out. And this was absolutely, what Swami can do for a devotee. I mean, this is something, I don't know what to say, but it was such a touching gesture on the part of Swami that it obviously, has left a very, very deep impression on our lives, that, he could do these things.
So, mother was granted liberation. Father too attained that same state. And as you said, while you had seen how father was so busy in Bhagwan's mission, mother was there supporting the father.
Yes.
And both of them together were given the ultimate freedom that everyone aspires for.
We couldn't ask for anything more for our parents. I remember in 1978, when I was going, when I had got this offer from Nigeria and going there. So I asked Swami, I said, Swami, I'm going there. What about my parents? Swami said, parents? Swami, they're with Swami. Why do you have to worry? Swami will look after them. Like he admonished me that, how did you even think of asking me this question? I said, it's just, because we are going away so far, and, so, and he did. And, what else, Swami, if this is not taken care of, what else is?